If you want to keep out of trouble in North Carolina, there's some stuff you need to know. Follow these 5 tips to keep from getting pulled over by the cops or destroying our whole ecosystem. You know, minor inconveniences. No, we're not California. North Carolina is not a desert, but there are certain times of the year when we can get conditions that are conducive to wildfires. Last year, there was a huge fire on one of our most popular hiking spots, Pilot Mountain. I mean, huge, relatively speaking. Again, we're not California. Anyway, it burned over 1,000 acres and caused a lot of scarring on the mountain. Now, maybe you think it's always illegal to burn stuff in the city limits, and that's true in many cases. In the town of Cary, you have to have a permit for an open burn, a bonfire, or a land clearing. In that case, the city will let you know if there's a burn ban in effect and if you're allowed to burn. But many people don't live within the city limits, and so they don't have to abide by the zoning laws of the city. If you live in the country or plan to buy a home in the country, you need to pay attention to the county burn bans. Usually we start seeing them in the fall, which is when conditions are most likely to be hazardous. The weather is crisp and clear and beautiful and breezy, which of course are perfect conditions for spreading fires. When my son was a little over a year, he picked up a mushroom in the front yard and stuck it in his mouth. I about lost my mind. I called poison control and they told me that almost all the mushrooms here are fine. Almost? He ended up being totally fine, but there are a lot of poisonous plants in North Carolina. There probably are where you live as well, but most people don't go around eating them, so we just don't know. However, if you have young children that like to put things in their mouths or pets that might do the same, you should be aware of which plants are in your yard. I've posted a link to the list and to poison control in the comments below. Also, North Carolina is home to 9 of the most toxic mushrooms in the world. If you're a forager or a baby boomer who never quite gave up the shroom habit, just be aware that psychedelic mushrooms are illegal and a Class D felony in North Carolina. I love it when we get to talk about the government. Not all states have an annual vehicle tax, and it's really easy to overlook this bill that you should get in the mail each year. And when you overlook the bill, the little sticker that you're supposed to put on the back of your car on the license plate to let them know that you paid the bill doesn't get mailed to you. And if you don't get the little sticker, or if you do get the sticker and you stick it in your glove box and forget about it for a year, someone is eventually going to pull you over and give you a hard time about it. Now, I don't know why they would give you a hard time for having it in your glove box, because they know you paid the bill and you know you paid the bill. They just looked it up in their little computer and it says you paid the bill. But that's the patriarchy for you, always trying to keep the little man or woman under their thumb. Sometimes it can actually be hard to figure out how to pay your bill. Even when you get it in the mail, they send you the bill like 6 months in advance of when it's due. But if you go to the website and try to pay it, they won't let you. And so then you might do something that sounds reasonable, like call the DMV to ask them what's happening, but then you might realize that that wasn't the most reasonable thing to do, and you might sit on the phone for 3 hours trying to figure out why they don't seem to want your money. It's kind of like your wife. She wants something, you want to give it to her, but you're just not sure what it is. You'll have to try a little harder, guys. The reason they won't let you pay the bill early is because they want you to get your car inspected before you pay your tax bill. That's just the system. Don't be stupid like me. Inspect your car first, then pay your tax bill, and don't call the government. This is what it says on the State Department of Parks website. Swimming is not allowed in all parks. Check with the individual park. Swimming and surfing, where allowed, are only permitted in designated areas. Now, it says this next bit in the same breath practically, because of course, where there is water, people will be naked. Public nudity, including public nude bathing, is prohibited. Children under age 5 are exempt. What I want to know is, why is this something that's needed to be said? Why does public water equal take my clothes off? This is not your bathtub. Leave your soap at home. And all you Californians are just going to have to deal with tan lines. Okay, here's a situation. You're at the beach. You got a fantastic rental with oceanfront views and a great big front porch. You're just loving living in the South. You and your family and friends are hanging out on the porch, just having a great time. It's 11 p.m., but you're on vacation time, right? When all of a sudden, the police are on your porch and you're thinking, hey, maybe he wants a rum and coke. Actually, they're giving you a ticket for having your lights on at night on the beach. And you're probably going to get a pretty hefty fine as well. What you don't know is it's turtle nesting season. The turtles that nest along the shores of the North Carolina beaches are mostly endangered species. So there are some laws about what we are allowed to do on our beaches during nesting season. When you get to the beaches in North Carolina, you'll notice that we don't have miles of bars and restaurants right on the beach. That's because lights during nesting season confuses the turtles. They're looking for the moon to figure out which way they need to go to get back to the ocean. And if you've got a porch light on, they just might start heading in your direction and die rather than make it to the water to live out their happy turtle lives. So if you purchase a home on the beach in North Carolina, or if you rent a vacation home during nesting season, please don't leave the exterior lights on at night. If you like this video, you might also like this one as well.